are live. I'm gonna quick tweet this out or get the YouTube link at least. Okay, paste. Oh. Okay, sweet. We're starting to fill up a little bit. Dude, I'm actually an idiot. You know how my computer was fucking up all the time?
Uh-huh.
Dude, I realized I tried deleting everything or deleting a lot of stuff that I was just taking up space.
Mm-hmm.
I put it all in my trash. You know how on Max there's a trash icon that stores trash or whatever?
Yeah. You never emptied it before?
Yeah, I've never emptied it. So it was all sitting in the trash. I had I think 15 gigabytes worth of shit just sitting in the trash. And that shit was just slowing everything down. So I got all the data up and stuff too, which is nice. Nice to get going. Yeah, I don't know, my bets are a lot different than they were last week. I feel like last week I'm doing a lot of yardage stuff because one thing that I peeped is that there's actually a lot of teams playing one high. I remember after looking at that stuff on week 1,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of it seemed like every team was playing too high at a ridiculously high rate, and it's really only 5 teams that do that anymore. So I don't know. I think maybe we're getting some passing back. Hopefully. Hey, did CD get 100 yards on Thursday?
He was at 98.
Oh,
I don't think he got a target for most of the fourth quarter.
Oh, damn. Yeah, because he had that long touchdown. I was like, oh shit, it's gonna cash easy. I know
I think he had 85 at that point. And that was the second quarter?
Yeah. They could have just, instead of wasting rushing attempts with him, they could have just thrown him a couple screens or something.
Yeah.
Kind of use him like he's fucking Debo or something. Before we get started, there's a ton of injuries right now. A few of them just happened. So I don't know if you guys peeped this, but I believe some of them off the top of my head, Olave just hurt his hamstring, which is interesting. Devontae Adams out of nowhere got ruled out. Who else? Am I missing someone? Trey McBride's out, I know, but that was kind of to be expected. I think Laporta's supposed to be out.
He's a full participant today, so he's probably going to lean towards playing.
Oh, okay.
Devontae got ruled out.
Adams out. Yeah, that Olave one just came out of nowhere. I think I saw AJ Brown was practicing, which kind of sucks because I have a bet that doesn't want him to play. What else?
Since Devontae's out, do we know if AJ Brown's playing?
No, he was questionable. He didn't practice the first day, and then he was limited. Smitty's out. That's another one. Deontay Johnson he hurt his groin in practice, but he's expected to play. But that's always a little concerning when people pick up midweek injuries, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be it. All right, well, let's do some player props, okay? JJ, I'll go first here. All right, my first prop, I'm going to the Los Angeles Rams versus the Chicago Bears game. And this is a prop that I'm really kind of surprised at how low it opened, and it's one that I have really good conviction on. I'm going Tutu Atwell over 38.5 receiving yards. So this isn't really a matchup-based bet. This is definitely a role-based bet. I honestly think that he's the pretty clear-cut wide receiver 1 for this team with Puka and Kupp out. I bet on him last week, and he's at 20.5 or something like that. And I bet it thinking he wasn't going to be a full-time player, but he was just going to earn the most targets at the highest rate, get some downfield shots and stuff like that. But I was wrong, and it was a good thing that I was wrong. He ended up with an 83% route participation, led the team with a 22% target share. He had 30% of the team's air yards. He ended up going 4 receptions, 93 yards. And honestly, guys, Tutu, I don't know if you guys remember at the beginning of the year last year, but Tutu was a very good target earner. He was a very good wide receiver 2 alongside Puka Nacua, and he was putting up really, really good numbers. And then As the season went on, Kupp and Puka were healthy. He lost his job due to blocking. But at this point, the Rams just need someone who can actually like separate and get open because Tyler Johnson, Demarcus Robinson, those guys are just not like they're not capable of being ones or twos in the NFL. My favorite part of this prop though is there was a ton of good coach speak about this. Sean McVay, he said he had a quote. It was Tutu was awesome today. Good aggressive hands. It makes you realize he probably should have gotten other opportunities. He's always been called upon and he's always kind of delivered. So it's almost him like regretting not playing him more like before that when he was healthy and McVay and Kupp and Nakua were active. And then he also had another quote that said Tutu and Stafford have a really good trust. And then the offensive coordinator the day later, something like that, said Tutu took advantage of his opportunities and now it's just building off that. So just like a ton of like really good coach speak and stuff like that makes me think that like Tutu's the focus of this receiving game. He's like the guy he wants to scheme open. He's a guy he wants to get the ball in space and just he wants to get him involved the most. From a matchup standpoint, the Bears do have a really elite defensive back or cornerback in Jalen Johnson, but he just kind of sits on the outside. I'm pretty sure he doesn't shadow. And also Tutu, he's just like a speed guy. He gets used in motion a ton. McVay's a master at getting his guys in motion and getting them mismatches. And also Tutu Atwell, I don't think defenses are gonna key in on him, and we got to take him away. So yeah, basically 38.5 receiving yards. I just think that Tutu is like the clear cut number one option for a Stafford and McVay team. So that's how I'm feeling about that.
I like that. I was talking with Dr. Prophet about that earlier. And, like he was the guy when Puka was playing and Cooper Kupp was out. I think they still got to lean on him this year too, especially with both of those guys out this time. Like if he's earning targets with Puka Nacua in the lineup, where how many targets Puka was earning, like I feel like he has to be the guy to target. Because I think see a lot of his routes are run out wide. And I think that's really important to me because it looked like there was leaning a little bit away from 3 receiver sets last week, especially because they need help in the run game. I think this is the spot where they need to get the run game going. They need to lean on Kyren Williams. So the receiver to target who's playing out wide would be Tutu Atwell. I think everybody liked Jordan Whittington, but a lot of his route participation is usually going to be like in the slot. Maybe over time he can earn some more out wide, but being in the slot is going to be the main guy. And being in the slot, you need a lot more 11 personnel. So Tutu is the guys that trust there.
That's a really good point. I probably should have touched on that too. I think Whittington's a good player. I think he can earn targets at a decent rate. But like what you just said, they switched to for like the first time in the McVay era in a really long time. They had to go 2 tight ends due to the offensive line being a little bit weak, due to the receiving core like being a little bit weak. Like we don't need 3 receivers out there. And so if Whittington's not going to be a full-time role, which he's probably not, I don't know why they switched that up after beating the Niners. Just like especially in 2 wide sets, like he's like the guy that they want to throw the ball to. I'd say almost every time. But yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and then my first play is going to be Rashee Rice over 6.5 receptions. Chargers. They're top 5 in 2 high looks, which is middle of the field open. When you look at that coverage this season for the Chiefs offense, Rashee Rice, 29% targets per route run, 3.77 yards per route run, and 46% air yard share. Everybody else is like, it's really not even close. So looking at targets per route run, Kelsey and Worthy are at 15 and 14% target per route run. Looking at yards per route run, Kelsey is 0.5 and Watson is 1.44. And those guys are 4th and 5th. Second and third for yards per route run behind Rice is going to be Watson at 1.82 and Gray at 1.5. So, I mean, this is the clear-cut guy to target. I think, who'd they play last week?
Falcons.
I think they're single. think they're middle of the field close, if I remember correctly. And he just dominated like zone coverage in general.
Yeah.
He's going to be the guy to target. I think I tweeted out during that game, like he does a very good job of just finding the holes in the zone. And that used to be Travis Kelce, but Rashee Rice does it a lot quicker and is open just as much as him. So Rashee Rice is going to be the guy to always target.
Yeah. I peeped that too. I was trying to find a claim for Kelce because I just wanted to buy low on Kelce, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just went to zone because like the Chargers, they kind of just play like they're pretty much all zone and they kind of do a good job of mixing it up. Travis Kelce had like a 10% targets per route ran against zone. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like I would, I mean, that's gonna regress, obviously, but and then Rashee Rice is at like 40% or something like that. So yeah, I do like that. I think that another good thing is that I don't know how this. I think the Chargers offense is gonna suck here. Like I don't like Herbert's injured or shit. I'm pretty sure Slater and Alt just got hurt too, and like they're out. Which are like two like really good tackles. And then I could be wrong, but I think someone else might be hurt too. But yeah, I just don't. I think that the Chiefs could actually have like just like dominate plays ran here by dinking and dunking because I don't see the Chargers being able to stay on the field. And their run defense too. Like so far, in EPA they're fourth against the run, and success rate they're second. They've been really good against the run too. So obviously, like they don't have Pacheco. I wanted to bet on Carson Steele rushing yards, but I couldn't just because that. So I think it's going to be a ton of plays for the Chiefs, a ton of short passing. Chargers play a ton of too high, a ton of zone. They just want to limit the explosives. So Rashee Rice is the guy. Maybe Travis Kelce will wake up at some point, but until he does, Rashee Rice, like this could be like a 10 reception spot, and 4 of them are on screens or something too.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised. A lot of short crossers, slants, like he should dominate that area of the field.
He's real good. And yeah, Worthy too. Worthy just I don't think I've seen him get a target this year, like outside of like a blown coverage or a screen. Like he's not ready to take away targets from Rashee Rice unless he's getting screens too, which he probably gets like a couple, but yeah.
But his role stretching the field is very valuable for the team, especially Rashee Rice. Like it helps him so much.
Yeah, just opens up the underneath, like easy stuff. Yep. Yeah, I like that too. I thought this one was going to be. I'm surprised you got this at plus money, to be honest with you.
That was yesterday. I think right now it's at 108.
Yeah, which is definitely still playable, I'd say. Okay. My next prop, JJ, I think you'll like this one. This is a decent, some decent statistics behind it. So I'm going with Mike Williams over 30.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at DK. Cashed him on that last Thursday night game against the Patriots. But I just think this is I think this matchup is just really, really good for him sneakily. So Pat Surtain, he shadows. He's one of the best DBs in the game, in my opinion. Garrett Wilson, like he's just had a string of tough matchups this year, but it's just not going to stop in this one. PS2, one of the better defensive backs in the game. Obviously, that's good for Mike Williams if Garrett has a tough matchup. The reason, my favorite part about this play, though, is that Denver, so far this year, they're playing man at the second highest rate. People like Mike Williams, who aren't like great separators, but they're just good at catching the ball and stuff like that. That's just like a perfect skill set for man coverage, and I have a little bit of data to back this up. So in Mike Williams' last full season, which was 2022, just wanted to get a good sample size. He only played like 3 games last year. He's been limited this year. But in 2022, versus man coverage, Mike Williams had a 33% targets per row ran rate, which is pretty absurd. He had a 3.65 yards per route ran, which is also like absurd, like really, really good against man coverage. Then against zone that year, only an 18% targets per route ran rate, and then only 1.71 yards per routes ran. So like he is just like he was an absolute monster against man coverage. Obviously, I've gushed over this like a million times on this podcast, But like fucking Mike Williams on those back shoulder against inferior defensive backs, dude, it's just like OP. And Aaron Rodgers is just so good at it. And those back shoulders, like you're not doing that shit against zone, you're doing that shit against man coverage. So
Yeah.
I think that like this is just sneakily like a really, really good matchup. A couple more things. In week 3, when we bet on him, his routes were pretty disappointing. In week 2, he had a 73% route participation, which is like really good. Hopefully he's around there. In week 3, it dipped to 55%, but kind of in hindsight, it was a short week, and that was only his 3rd game back from the ACL. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But this is like a ton of rest now, like a mini bye coming off that Thursday night game. It's now week 4 coming off the ACL. Robert Saleh said he's not on the snap count anymore. So I'm expecting back to 70 to 80% route participation here. And another, just like some positive reporting stuff, Dan Graziano, I believe it is, he said, watch for the Jets to work wide receiver Mike Williams into the playbook more and more in the next couple of weeks. And then the last thing, in that Thursday night game, Rodgers, he looked amazing. So I think that he's all the way back as well. So need that good quarterback play and think we're going to get it.
Yeah, I think that Thursday night game gave that team a whole lot of confidence offensively because, I mean, they were just doing whatever they wanted. And then, that PS2 matchup is definitely going to take Garrett Wilson away. So other people got to get the ball. That's going to be Lazard, Williams, and then the running back,
Brees.
I'm blanking. Brees Hall. Yeah.
you don't know Brees?
It's like so many names because I'm going through like so many names right now on this little list. Somebody got to be targeted here. And it's like those guys are going to be the options. Mike Williams being the big body, Broncos are going to blitz, throw it up and let Mike Williams work. I think that's going to be the best way to go. And with the accuracy that Aaron Rodgers was showing last week, especially like on that touchdown throw to Garrett Wilson, like if he can consistently do that, then, I mean, Mike Williams should have a big day, in my opinion.
Yeah. If I want to say this too, if Mike Williams goes out there, catches a deep ball, ends in the game 5 for 90, runs 80% of the routes, like we're never seeing a 30.5 line ever again. Like this thing's gonna be consistently in the 40s and stuff like that. So yeah, I really like the man coverage aspect. I think that's my favorite part of this one. But all right, JJ, your next play.
All right, my next play is Marvin Harrison Jr. over 72.5 receiving yards. McBride was ruled out, but with or without McBride, I really didn't care.
Yeah.
Commanders have gotten killed by wide receiver ones dating back to last year. I think Ian Harris, he always posts like a list each week of teams that's like wide receiver ones that's dominating against the Commanders. And I mean, you saw what Jamar Chase did. So I mean, looking at so far on the season for the Cardinals, versus too high, which is what the Commanders play at a top 5 rate. He has a 45% air yard share, 20% targets per route run, 1.41 yards per route run, which is not that great, but I mean, feel like week 1 played a lot into that, like lowering those numbers because he ran a lot of routes, didn't really do a whole lot, and Buffalo runs a lot of too high, so that makes sense. But he has a 28% first read share, which is first on the team. And you look at McBride, he had the highest targets per route run on the team and second highest air yard share versus too high as well. So those targets got to get spread around. I think a good chunk of those are going to go to Marvin Harrison Jr. And I can honestly see a ladder for his yards this week. 100 plus is definitely realistic looking at what the Commanders have like given up over the past, 16 games dating back to last season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what else to say. This is just like literally like ones against the Commanders are just like ridiculous. Like what you said, the numbers on it, like literally it seems like every single week, like an elite receiver is going off for 150 against him. So this is probably just like a don't overthink it bet. But I do have a question for you. I know Michael Wilson. I don't know what you think about him as a player, but I kind of like him. I saw he's at 43.5 receiving yards. What makes you lean Marvin or go Marvin over a guy like Michael Wilson? Is it just because they want to get the ball to Marvin, and against the Commanders, you can get the ball like all the time to your best player. Or,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, when you target the Commanders, you just get the ball to your best player and just keep it pushing.
yeah. This play is like literally the definition of like don't fucking overthink it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like this one a lot. I mean, you can't argue against it. If it goes under, it goes under. Fucking
Yeah.
go bet the top receiving option against them next week, and you'll get your money back.
Yeah, I guarantee you probably can bet the over on wide receiver 1 over probably the rest of the season versus Commanders. Probably have a pretty good hit rate. Not gonna lie.
I mean, what, it's 3 for 3 right now. Who they playing? Who they play in week 1?
Week 1. Let me check real quick.
Oh, Tampa. Let's see. What
Tampa.
did
Mike Williams and Chris Godwin dominated.
Let's see. I'd say I'd compare Mike Evans kind of to Marv. They're both pretty big bodied. Yeah. He had 2 touchdowns, 61 yards. Yeah, but that's just also because Godwin went so stupid. Like he took.
Yeah, Godwin had 8 for 83 in the tub.
Neighbors had like 20 targets against him.
Yeah.
And then Ja'Marr Chase had like 2 deep bombs that he caught. So yeah, dude. I mean,
yards.
I think that Connor will probably get fed here too. This is just like I'm completely on board with this play, but I think I've told you this last time we were on stream. I hate when like suck against the run too, and then that, because I know Arizona, they are kind of a team that wants to run the ball, and
yeah,
will probably get his. But this game also has like a ridiculous total. I think it's at 50, and it's like the highest of the slate. So yeah, like I said, don't overthink it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now with that play.
Okay, here's one that maybe I'm overthinking, but I hope not, and hope it wins. Let's go with Aaron Jones, over 57.5 rushing yards, minus 110, bet 365. Aaron Jones, guys, if you guys didn't know, this is a Packers-Vikings game. It's in Lambeau Field. It's a little narrative-y, but dude, when I'm researching players, I like to look them up on Twitter. The first thing that came up was like an Aaron Jones. He tweeted a couple days ago. It was like a letter to Green Bay, and like he was just like, I don't know, like he was just getting super like emotional about it, like super thankful, like just stuff like that. I think does matter to an extent. Like this game like matters like a shit ton to him. The coaching staff knows that. It's also like a super important game. It's like a big divisional game. These two teams are looking like they're going to be battling out for the division. I think that in a game like this, obviously you got the narrative back in Green Bay, but you also, it's just like a must-win game. Aaron Jones, he's not washed at all. He's averaging 5.4 yards per carry this year. He's just a really good running back, and I think that in games like this, you want the best player on the field. So I kind of do, with all that stuff said, with all that stuff going into it, I really do expect Aaron Jones to be a workhorse in this spot. I don't really expect to see much of Ty Chandler. I'm on a play that is fading Green Bay. But the reason behind that too is like I actually think that this could be a good game script. Like obviously they're underdogs, but Brian Flores, man, he's just different. Like what he's got his defense playing, the stuff he dials up for them. This defense is elite. You can make the argument it's the top 3 defense in the league. It's played like one so far. They just shut down the Texans. They shut down the 49ers healthy, minus McCaffrey. Shut down the Giants, completely shut down the Giants. And this is Jordan Love's first game back from injury. I kind of think he might be rushing it back a little bit. You know, when like the backups play good, these like starters are like, oh shit, dude, like I gotta fucking come back. So maybe I could be wrong there, but it is Jordan Love's first game back from injury. He's going up against an elite coordinator. I think we can actually get a decent game script here. Like I don't think the Vikings are kind of coming here and get blown out or anything. Last thing I want to say, this Green Bay run defense isn't good. They're allowing 5 yards per carry on the dot to running backs this year. That's the 6th most in the league. And according to PFF, they are the 24th ranked run defense. So pretty good matchup. Green Bay not great against the run. And yeah, bro, just Aaron Jones back in Green Bay. He's getting 60 yards. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, so I just went and looked up some stats for Aaron Jones. It looks like Green Bay is bottom 10 in like explosive yards allowed and explosive runs allowed. which are so explosive runs according to fantasy points is runs that go for 15 plus yards. So obviously explosive runs, like percentage of those yards. So 34% of his yards come from explosive runs. And according to fantasy points, when you players that had at least 15 carries so far, it looks to be about 50 on the dot. He is 14th best, and explosive run percentage at 7.1% is 7th best in the league.
Ooh.
Only people higher than him is Bucky Irvin, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jonathan Taylor. So that's good company to be in. I think if he can rip some runs off, I think this should be easy.
Hell yeah, dude. Appreciate those stats to make me feel a little bit better about it too. Do you think I'm being too narrative-y, or do you think this is actually like a good spot to see the Vikings lean heavier on Aaron Jones in comparison to like the Jones-Chandler split?
I like the narrative part of it, and I think it's also a good matchup just looking at the explosive runs being allowed, especially because, the third of his yards are coming from that. I mean, he rips one or two off, like you should probably have like 20, 30 yards just off of like two runs. So as long as he still continues to get fed like he has been, I think they're just going to continue to lean on him.
Yeah.
Especially because like passing is probably going to be tough. Jair is probably going to match up with Jettas and probably shadow him. He shadowed two receivers so far. Didn't have to shadow anyone week 2 because it was the Colts. You're not really worried about their passing attack right now. And, outside of that, I think looking at he shadowed 2 out of 3 matchups facing Jettas. I know he wants that matchup. So I think someone said Jair's only allowed 1 catch to Jettas when matched up since 2020. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think they'll have to lean on the run game here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I noticed too when I was doing some research is this probably is a Jair thing, but Green Bay allows the fewest amount of first read targets. So that means that they're getting quarterbacks off their first read. It just kind of speaks to their coverage being good overall. So yeah. I was gonna fade JJ, but 5.5 receptions. I'm like, yeah. Give me a 6.5. I'd take the under, but I couldn't get there at 5.5.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, JJ, do you have any other plays, or because I got a couple more, but
I have a lean right now I'm still looking into, but I mean George Pickens over, I think it's at 52.5 receiving yards. I seen Kenny Moore was ruled out for the Colts. I mean, this defense hasn't been good regardless whether it's run or pass. But I mean, it's going to be single high coverage. They play, I think, top 10 rate, if not top 5, if I remember correctly. Let me see. So, yeah, they're number 9 right now in single high. And the 2 guys that you want to target off of that is going to be George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. So, let's see. Yards per route run for George Pickens, 2.9. Pat Freiermuth, 2. Where's the rest of this at? Targets per route run, George Pickens, 38%. Pat Freiermuth, 24%. Air yard share, George Pickens, 63.1%. Pat Freiermuth, 12.9%. Most likely going to make this an official play. Most likely, like 95% sure. So, I mean, haven't had to throw the ball a lot, but I think this would be a fun matchup for them to throw the ball a lot. I think they'll let Justin Fields do what he does. I think Justin Fields will scramble a little bit, but overall, I think this offense is going to go through George Pickens through the air.
Yeah, I want to add on another point too. You said they played single high at the 9th highest rate, correct?
Yeah, the Colts.
Yeah, and then like if we just think about it, right? So the Colts have an awful run defense, right? Like completely gashed by Mixon, completely gashed by Josh Jacobs, and that's when Malik Willis is at quarterback, and you knew it was coming. The Bears didn't run it on them. Okay, who cares? The Bears can't run the ball. But awful run defense, so they have to play one high a lot just to compensate for that bad run defense. And what are the Steelers going to do? Like they're just going to try. They want to run the shit out of the ball. So I think the Colts Obviously, they already do play a lot of single high, but in this matchup specifically, I think that we probably even see a spike in single high coverage too. And yeah, man, if they're taking away the middle of the field and they're just leaving the corners DBs on a one-on-one kind of with Pickens with those throws down the sidelines, similar to Mike Williams. Mike Williams and George Pickens, probably Pickens better in him at this point. I hate to admit, but Pickens, yeah, dude. I mean, his contested catch is like fucking ridiculous, dude. Like he could, I think a longest reception can make a ton of sense too. Like he should at least, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he gets like 40 yards in like one play by itself too. And another thing, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but opponents plays ran against NFL. The Colts play really fast, and like Richardson like has so many incompletions and like spike plays that opponents are running like an absurd amount of plays. Yeah. Opponents are averaging 75.7 plays ran against the Colts per game. That's like fucking insane. The next closest is 68.7. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Just like overall, I think like the Steelers overs just make a ton of sense because just like how the Colts play, they're fast paced. Richardson is at like 50% completion, so the clock is stopping. He's chucking the ball downfield every time he can for like 40-yard air yard passes. Jonathan Taylor is like ripping off like 20-yard rushes and stuff. They're going 3 and out. Like it's just like a very offensive friendly game environment for opponents against the Colts. So I think that's something I want to start incorporating a little bit more into my research, plays ran against and stuff like that. Now that we're getting a little more sample size and all that, but yeah, dude, I really like that play. I know a few people have seen it on Twitter a little bit, and they all had good reasonings too. So you're definitely not alone on that one. All right. Before we get into the last official play from me, I want to talk about some leans, and I'm not sure if they're actually out yet, but I have one prop, and we're actually going to say at the same game that it's not out yet. Yeah, it's still not out. Sweet. But I am so I'm licking my chops for this thing to come out. I'm waiting for a Cordero Patterson rushing yard line. Najee Harris was like in a sling after the game. Jalen Warren is already ruled out. And Arthur Smith just has a chub going 24/7 for C. Patterson. So I think that Cordero Patterson, like if you put this running back room down to 3 running backs, and like, let's be real, Arthur probably likes Cordero more than like Warren anyways. So, and obviously what we just said with the overall plays ran against the Colts, like the run defense isn't good. Yes, they'll probably try to stack the box so they can be at least halfway decent against it. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what a Cordero Patterson line comes out at. Anything under like 25 is like an auto play for me. And maybe even under 30, I'll do a little more digging, but that's just a play I want to be involved with a little bit. So I'm waiting for a Cordero Patterson line. Obviously, like this Commander's secondary sucks. There's a backup tight end for Trey McBride, Elijah Higgins, who I remember I saw him like make a play once, and I'm like, he kind of like impressed me, and maybe I'm like holding on to that a little too much, but he's like looked pretty athletic and stuff. So I am a little bit interested to see what the backup tight ends line comes out at. So waiting for Elijah Higgins. I think he could be halfway decent. So do you have any lines that you're like waiting to come out and see what you can get?
Nothing at the moment. I still got to go through injury reports. I hate this shortened preseason because everybody that's just going to increase injuries in my opinion. And then, Olave's on my fantasy team, so it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, and I remember you gave out an Olave over reception future too.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, my bad, bro. Dude, at least we collabed on a neighbor's over receptions, dude. That shit looks.
Which he's like, he's over halfway there, right? Yeah. It's only week 4.
Dude, he's gonna lead the league in receptions probably, and we got it at like 70.5. I think he got hurt though, but I think it's
concussion. He gave himself a concussion. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, he's just trying to make us sweat a little bit, and then he's gonna.
Yeah, I think he'll be back next week.
He can probably.
He has 10 days off.
He could go on IR, and I wouldn't even be sweating it.
Yeah,
actually,
well, hopefully not. My fantasy team needs him.
Yeah, me too. PPR cheat code.
Right.
Okay. my fourth and final official play, and actually, I might give out another one. I'm feeling good. But here's one that just came out. Trey Tucker, over 37.5 receiving yards, minus 114 at FanDuel. As we mentioned before, Tay Adams, he is out. Came up with a hamstring issue. And to be honest, I sent this out to my Discord like right before right before we hopped on, and I didn't really go too in depth, but I'm just like a big Trey Tucker guy. He had a really good week last week. Let me quick see that final stat line. Obviously, like some of it was definitely in garbage time, but he was like a preseason stud. Like there's a ton of hype around him, but obviously with Adams, Myers, and Bowers, like he just wasn't going to be able to get the target share necessary to like prove it. But last week, I mean, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 96 yards. Like he had like a breakout game, and that's like 9 targets is very encouraging for Devontae Adams. Played every single route. Jacoby Myers basically played every single route. I just think he can play, man. Vegas can't run the ball. Cleveland, they run the most single high safety in the league, which tough to run against, but it's vulnerable to big plays, as we just mentioned with that Pickens look. Myles Garrett, he should play, but like this dude has like 3 injuries right now. The pass rush didn't even really get home against Daniel Jones last week. And then the last thing is Denzel Ward. They have basically their defense. They only have 2 good players really. It's like Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett, who's hurt, and then Denzel Ward should take Jacoby Myers mostly. And then also the last thing, Trey Tucker's actually had really good route participations, but the top 2 receivers, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, they've all had 90% or more routes in every single week so far. So now you slot Tucker in as that wide receiver 2. This offense just leaves their top 2 guys in basically every single play. So he's going to have close to 100% route participation. Kind of like the matchup. He's a deep threat, single high safety. You know, we'll take it. And yeah, I'm just a believer in the talent.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on that because I didn't get time to research that since I got home a little late, and then the injury just happened with Devontae. So, I mean, everything you say like sounds really good. You know, all those targets are gonna have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I think they're probably key in on Jacoby and Brock Bowers a little bit more. I know they run a lot of man coverage, so that might hurt Brock Bowers a little bit, but obviously I need to check on that some more, but it sounds good to me.
Yeah. It just, have you ever like seen Trey play or like?
I have.
Are you a fan of him or?
I think he's solid. I think he's doing well in the role he's given right now.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does when expanded role.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not too bad. I don't know. I was encouraged, especially because to be honest, Trey Tucker, I always knew he was like an explosive, very speed guy. I think the fact that he, like, say what you want, maybe some of it was in garbage time. I'll actually check to see if it was in garbage time. But the fact that he got 9 targets in a game last week, that Adams and Myers played 100% of the snaps damn near, and I think that's at least got to mean something, right, for your ability to earn targets. 9 targets in a game, and Bowers played too. It's like that's some pretty stiff target competition. So I got to say that's kind of what put me over the top of this play. I'm like, okay, you can do that, then we'll take it. But let me quick actually see. I'm like JJ. I'm like slumming it right now. The way I check this shit is I go to Football Reference, I click on the game, and then I go to play-by-play. I Command F and type in Trey Tucker and start skimping around to see how many of his targets were.
That definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. So okay, 3 of his targets were from Aiden O'Connell in garbage time, but still, so 6 before Minshew went out. That's not bad. That's still like yeah. Okay. I feel a little bit of self-affirmation there. But yeah, I can give out one more play. Let's see. We got 484 here. We've been live for 40 minutes already. Holy fuck. Dude. Okay. JJ, do you want a final play?
Let's hear it.
Okay. Do you want all right, pick for the people, over or under?
I'm gonna take the wall. Guess of under.
Okay, well, I was like, you were choosing between an over or an under play.
Oh,
So
okay.
you picked under, so I'm sticking with it.
I thought you had like one of those plays ready, and I was guessing which one you had.
No. Okay. This play is Joe Burrow under 35.5 pass attempts. Sorry, I should have put it's minus 125 at DK. Forgot to put that there. Basically, I was like trying to handicap this game and find out who had a good matchup and stuff. And what I found out is like I think like everyone in this game kind of has a good matchup. So, which sounds like stupid, but Carolina, their run defense is bad. They'll have the fourth running back rushing yards, 4.68 yards per carry. They have the eighth worst PFF run grade. And Moss, and especially now that Chase Brown is getting involved. Chase Brown, bro, I don't know. He's just explosive. I really like Chase Brown. But I think that these two should have success running the ball here, especially when this defense is going to have to respect the pass game with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase healthy. So yeah, I see Cincy having having success. I don't know, I fucked that up. Having success running the ball. Also, Carolina, they play the second most single high safety looks. That's making you prone and to allowing explosive plays when you're playing single high. Obviously, that two high stuff is when everything just gets dink and dunked. But Carolina, to help with their run defense, they have to play a lot of single high safety. And like I said, they're playing it second most in the league. Joe Burrow's healthy. Jamar Chase is healthy. T. Higgins, he played 95% of the routes. These guys are all healthy. I really think they should be able to generate explosive plays, especially considering that Carolina has the second worst pass rush and the sixth worst coverage grade per PFF. Joe Burrow, when he is protected and when he's healthy and when everyone else is healthy, like these guys, they just like are an explosive play machine. So if Joe Burrow is getting explosive plays, like completing 40-yard passes and stuff, or maybe even getting PIs, like that's not good for passing attempts. You want a ton of dinking and dunking, a ton of incomplete passes, stuff like that. That's what you want for pass attempts. You don't want to be giving up big plays. Cincy on the other side, their defense also fucking sucks. They weren't able to get a single stop against the Commanders. They're 29th in EPA, 30th in success rate on defense. And now that Andy Dalton's playing quarterback, I think that they'll actually be able to sustain drives. There was some coach speak about, it's been coach speak all summer long about the Panthers. Like they want to run the ball. They really want to establish run. Panthers offensive coordinator this week was hammering that down. They just want to run the ball a ton. And like I said, since he can't stop the run, they can't stop. There's a bad defense. So I think that the Panthers will actually be able to have like some long drives where they keep the clock going, run the ball. And that's just not good for time of possession. I don't think Cincy dominates time of possession here, basically. And then the last and final thing, I don't expect the 0-3 Bengals to be in a position in the fourth quarter against the fucking Panthers where they have to air the ball out. At least I hope not. So I don't see a ton of just like garbage timey attempts at the end of the game. Or I don't see the Bengals ever being in a spot where they have to pass in this game. So I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of outs for this prop, whether it's they run the ball too well because they should be able to do that. They're too efficient on offense with their passing attempts, which I think could happen. The Panthers offense is actually able to stay on the field a decent amount, or they're just in a positive game script. So I see a lot of outs for this one, under 35.5 passing attempts.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for me is going to have to be like, what does this Panthers offense do? Can they continue the success that they had last week, or would it just kind of fizzle out and, they go back to not as bad as it was with Bryce Young, but, like maybe like a tier or two above that. Yeah, I think time of possession is going to be important here because the Bengals do have that tied for the highest pass rate over expectation right now with the Seahawks at 6.1%. Yeah, I think hitting this would probably be a very sharp play.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I don't know. I just think like I said, attempts. That doesn't mean I don't think Joe Burrow can throw for 300 yards. I completely do. But I'm just banking on either him being efficient. Like I said, I think there's a lot of outs for this one. And yeah, like obviously they're going to be a pass rate. They're always going to be a pretty pass heavy team, but they've been like that for a long ass time, and that's pretty baked into the lines at this point, I would think. So yeah, that's my fifth and final play. Is there anything else? Does anyone have any questions? Any comments? I don't see any comments. Damn, y'all really don't fuck with us. That's crazy. No, but seriously, if you guys will have any leans, have any comment, or just leave them in the comments. Let's see. Did I ever
Or
tweet
you
out?
guys even want to give out a play, like
Yeah,
talk
seriously.
about it as well?
Yep. Anything like that. We'll see if they come in. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Any matchups that intrigue you or anything like that?
I mean, the 3 plays I talked about, those are like the 3 matchups I'm most excited about. Still deep diving, still have to figure out, like what players are gonna be out and like how these teams will play without them, trying to predict all that. So, a lot more research going into Sunday, and then probably add like another 2 plays or so going into Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. What do you feel? How do you feel about Mark Andrews over 30.5 receiving yards?
I mean, they said it's going to change week to week, right? So, I mean,
Can't
it's
fucking
not
pick.
something I want to bet on. I mean, it's like playing a slot machine right now at this point.
Yeah. Bro, you can't get 31 receiving yards. Come on. I might just play
if
that.
you're
for
only
the bottom.
getting he only had like a third of the routes ran last week, right?
I think he had 4
one
routes
target.
ran. I think he literally had 4 routes ran, which is insane.
Yeah.
So
let me see.
We'll see about that, but let's see. Is there anything else? Have we got any lines? I really just want them to pop that Cordero line, but I don't think we're gonna get it. At least we're lower on here. We'll get it eventually for sure.
He ran, according to fantasy points, 27 routes last week. Wait, no. Run that back. Forgot to hit apply. 4 routes, 23.5% route participation. 1 target. That is horrible.
Okay. The last thing I actually want to touch on, because I do have something I want to tap in with. I want to get your opinion on this, JJ.
Okay.
Olave late week hamstring. I'm gonna just be real. I highly doubt that he plays.
Yeah.
If Olave's out? Do you think that Rashid Shaheed, obviously his lines are gonna inflate, but do you think he's good enough to be the focal point to take on that type of coverage, or what props will you be looking out for if/when Olave gets ruled out?
First, I'd be looking for Rashid, probably yards because explosive player. Looks like Kamara's questionable. What line? That part I have no idea. I don't remember seeing it. Well, we haven't seen him play at this level, like with this kind of target share without Olave.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna expect like a 60 or 70 yard line, probably. I feel like that'd be fair. Let me see. Since injury report, because I seen Kamara was questionable too, right? He had like 3 injuries.
Yeah. JJ, do you know who the right answer is? Probably.
It's gonna be Taysom Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
I do want to say something too. This is a prop I was actually like looking out for like earlier. Dennis Allen went out of his way to say that they want to get Juwan Johnson more involved. I'm pretty sure he's coming off 2 games of back-to-back with no targets. So we don't have a line out for him yet, and we obviously won't have one probably until this Olave stuff settles. But just, Juwan Johnson literally no targets the last 2 games. But then the coach goes out of their way to say we want to get him involved. I believe coaches when they say that. And we're going to get a dirt cheap line. And if Olave's out.
Unless it's McCarthy.
Yeah.
We don't trust McCarthy.
Yeah. Unless it's Mike McCarthy. But, they said they want to go out their way and get him the ball. They don't know Olave. He's actually – can you hear this, JJ?
Yeah.
You can hear the ding?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. Great. Well, yeah. Well, Juwan Johnson, I don't know. He's literally back-to-back games with no targets. I'm a sicko, and I actually love that shit because I know we're gonna get a ridiculously low line, and like Juwan's done better than 0 targets. So yeah, I'm looking out for that like 11.5 receiving yard line for Juwan. Just one of those vibe plays, but I think coach speak like that matters, and especially stuff. I just like when 0 target stands out back to back games. Maybe they look his way on the first play of the game or something, and he cashes. So I don't know. That's that's what I'm looking for is Juwan 0 targets back to back games. Johnson.
Yeah, maybe even a Saints kicker prop because I remember the Atlanta's red zone defense has been pretty good this season. I remember shutting down Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
I think. Well, I mean, Aubrey's just been Aubrey, and then who did the Saints play week 1? The Carolina.
Bryce Young shut themselves down.
I think he's been having a lot of opportunities kicking the ball, so I think that should be good.
Yep, I like that too. If Taysom, maybe if they get a touchdown, it's probably going to be Taysom to piss all the fantasy players off.
Oh
But
yeah,
you can make some money off that.
I feel like you have to bet a Taysom anytime touchdown at this point.
Yeah, Noah Olave, dude. Like they were giving him handoffs and stuff, dude. Like he's not even just like playing quarterback and like running anymore. So he missed last week. So, but he's been a full participant in practice. So, all right. Before we head out, let's just quick summarize what plays we gave out. JJ, you first.
So Rashee Rice over 6.5 receptions. Then we have Marvin Harrison Jr. over 72.5 receiving yards. And then my lean that's most likely going to be an official play is George Pickens over 52.5 receiving yards.
Sweet. See, I gave out 5. First one was Tutu Atwell over 38.5 receiving yards. Mike Williams over 30.5 receiving yards. Aaron Jones, revenge game. He's getting 60. Aaron Jones over 57.5 rushing yards. Trey Tucker, little sleeper, over 37.5 receiving yards. Then the final one was Joe Shiesty to not pass the ball 36 times. All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. We appreciate it. And JJ, anything you want to say before we head out?
Just good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Hopefully a whole lot of green for everybody.
Yeah, you should wish me good luck because this season's been a fucking shit show, and we're one more. I'm one more losing week away from turning this shit from straight betting to straight ass. So
hey,
if
that's the way.
I go on 500 this Sunday, we'll be back here with a new brand, straight ass, baby. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a good weekend. Don't get too drunk.